What's up, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of All About the Arcades podcast. My name is Joe, also known as JJGeneral1. In this episode today, guys, we're going to be covering the different types of arcade games that are out there. Now, you may know a couple different types, but I have personally identified 5 different types of arcade games that are out there. You have your ticket games, you have your non-ticket games, you have your claws, you have your redemption games, and you have coin pushers. So we're going to start off with the ticket games and talk about what types of games these are. Okay, so ticket games, guys, are the types of games where you can play stuff, and it's usually a very simple type of game where something happens on a screen or something happens, physically where you have to throw a ball or something like that. And in doing so, you earn points or you earn tickets, and once the game's over, those tickets are either dispensed to you as physical tickets, or they're dispensed onto a card known as e-tickets. Now, a lot of arcades are switching to the e-ticket system. Some of them are known as like Embed, and there's a few other systems out there. And what that is you basically buy a play card, you charge it up, and then when you use the card, you use the balance that's on the card, and when the game is done, it sends the tickets to the card. Now, after you're done, you take these tickets from these games, and you take them to like a redemption center, or there's usually like a somewhere that's identified as like a winner's area. And what you do is they have all kinds of different prizes there, things from like Tootsie Rolls, which is the joke of the arcade world, that you win 10,000 tickets and can get, 15 Tootsie Rolls. But you can get some pretty high-end stuff. There's some arcades out there that can actually, you can redeem for like Apple Watches or an iPad or Beats headphones or an Xbox or PlayStation 4. There's some pretty big ticket items out there that are in some of the arcades. A lot of them rely on plush. Now, plush can be like, things like, your stuffed animals. They can be different sizes. And some of them start really small and some go really large. So that's pretty much what ticket games are for, guys. You win the tickets on the games, and then you take it to a redemption area, and you redeem for prizes. All right, guys, now the second type of game that I'm going to be talking about is the non-ticket games. Now, these are the types of games that are basically straight out just video games. You're playing them for entertainment. Arcades that still have these are still, and there's definitely, how do I want to put this, that some arcades have these more than their ticket redemption games, but most times, most arcades have less amounts of these than they do the ticket games. The reason being is most of these non-ticket games, as they're known, just video games / arcade games, are based off of what's popular now. There's a lot of games that are based off of movies, that are based off of TV shows, things like that. So these games are basically set up for a certain amount of time. They try to capitalize on what's popular. Now, there are a lot of games that are just your standard, not based off of any licensed material or things like that. There's these games like Dance Dance Revolution. I mean, some of it is licensed music that you can hit the arrows to, but for the most part, it's just songs that were created for the game themselves, and you dance to the game. There's other games too that are, House of the Dead, your shooting games, things like that, your first person shooter type games. This is where back in the day, like back in the 80s, the late 80s and early 90s, guys, this is where most gaming companies started. They would release the game in the arcade, see how it did, and then what was known porting it to a home console. Now, at that time, porting it meant you converted it to a smaller TV screen, first off, and second off, to the hardware requirements of the gaming system. And back then, we had like Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, things like that. And this is where games like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter got their starts. But even before then, there was games like Track and Field and a few others that really captured the intent of people just wanting to play games. And there's some places that are still around, guys. There's actually 2 by me in Pittsburgh here. Actually, there's 2 that I know of that have these types of old arcade games still, like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and Area 51, the shooter game, and a whole bunch of other arcade games. And there's one called Pinball PA, and that's in Aliquippa, PA. And then there's another one that's called Games in At, GAMES space N apostrophe space AT. And that is a Pittsburgh term basically saying and that. It's like a Pittsburghese thing, and a lot of people say it. I don't, but that's just the way we talk in Pittsburgh, apparently. So these 2 places, Pinball PA and Games in That, have basically pinball games and old arcade games. And most times you just pay a certain price and then you play for free. So all the games, you don't have to bring any quarters and stuff. They're set on free play. And then what you do is you pay one price and you play, until your time is up. Oh, there's one more type of like non-ticket arcade game, if you will. And those are like the ride type games. Like there's this new thing called the XD Dark Ride. Basically it's a 3D movie that you interact with. You don't win any tickets or win any prizes. But what you do is you basically watch a movie. It's usually like 7 or 8 minutes. The chairs that you sit in move. You can shoot stuff on the screen. Like you have a gun that's attached to your chair and it's calibrated to the screen. There's like wind sometimes. Like there's fans in there that will blow the wind into your face. And then there's also sometimes like they'll spray water at you if it's like a water scene or something in the video. And there's also another type of game. I can't remember what it's called at Dave & Buster's, but basically you sit in a chair and it's a giant screen and the chair moves and there's fans that blow in your face and basically it looks like you're riding a roller coaster pretty much. Those pretty much cover up the different types of arcade games, guys, that are out there. Like I said, these don't give you prizes. They don't give you tickets. They're basically just for entertainment, just for fun, kind of like the old Pac-Man, Donkey Kong things back in the day, Galaga, the ones that don't give tickets, these are just there for your entertainment. And most times, a lot of the arcades that now have those, as I was talking about earlier, the game cards that you swipe, they'll actually let you buy a predetermined amount of time, like an hour or 2 hours or even 4 hours of unlimited video game play. Now, what that means is the second you swipe in, your time starts. And then you have that long to play as many non-ticket video games as you want. So you can just play and play and play as much as you want. So if there's ever a game out there that you were trying to beat, and you know how you guys can continue on these games, you can swipe in, play, and then when you die, you swipe again, and it's free. You paid for your hour of time, so now you're basically just spending that time, if you will. So your timer's counting down, and you have unlimited credits for video games only. And those are sometimes, if you just want to get away, have some fun, do whatever, that's the type of game you want to do. And that, if you're looking for something to do on a Saturday for like an hour or two before you get to a movie, or you're hanging out with friends, and you're somewhere near that has this type of offer, go for it. Because that's the type of thing that, you're going to enjoy doing. You're going to have some fun playing some video games. You don't have to worry about tickets and redeeming for prizes and hanging on to tickets for future use and things like that. So that is the arcade games, guys, the non-ticket games, if you will. All right, guys, so our next topic is claw machines. Now, these are pretty universal. They're known throughout the world. Everybody knows what these look like, but there's a couple different styles of them, and they come in different sizes, different shapes, different names. There's all kinds of things out there. And there's 2 different types that are out there. Well, there's 3 different types, if you will. There's your standard set strength claws. Now, these are like the older ones from the 80s and things like that. Most times they're just called Big Choice. If you ever see a Big Choice claw machine, 99% of the time it is a fixed strength claw machine. Now, what that means is it all depends on your skill and how you grab the prize. And some of these claws in there will have, jewelry and watches and fidget spinners and whatever's popular at the time. And some of these claws will also have plush, big plush, little plush. It all depends on the size of the claw, the size of the machine, and what the vendor puts in there. All right, guys, the second type of machine is known as like a redemption claw. Now, what this means is they're set on a payout rate. Now, what that means as far as, and you're going to hear this on the next set too in redemption machines, a payout rate basically means the machine has to take in so much money before it'll allow you to win. Now, this can be ranged depending on what is in the machine. So sometimes you might see a claw machine with like PlayStation 4s in it to win, a box of PlayStation 4s or a tube of money or something like that. So basically, these types of claws, they have to take in so much money before they will give a win. What's going to happen is 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to pick up whatever you're going for. The machine's going to make you think like, I'm going to get it. As soon as it starts lifting it up, it'll either drop it because the claw's going to open, or it's going to release in such a certain way that like you might get to the top and then start moving to the prize chute, and then the claw will open up. In some way, shape, or form, the claw will open just enough. It may be very, very subtle, and you may not notice it. And then other times it may be very obvious that the claw is opening and basically dropping the prize. These are payout-based machines. Most of them are e-claws, as you've probably seen in other YouTube videos. A bunch of people have done them on. And these things, there's nothing you can do to control it. Sometimes, a little tip for you guys that want to try to win from an e-claw, try to go for things that are close to the prize chute, because most times the claw will actually pick up the prize and take it all the way to the top. And then when it hits the top, the claw will actually swing because there's a little bit of space between where the mechanism that actually controls the string for the claw and then the claw itself. There's sometimes a little bit of space in there and the claw will swing. Well, if you pick up something that's close to the prize chute, you may get a chance at when the claw swings, when it drops that prize, if it's still on the payout rate, if it hasn't hit the payout rate yet, it may swing that prize into the prize chute and you may win. And that's called beating the payout rate, because the machine was not ready to give you that prize, but you still got a prize and you beat the payout rate. And these claw machines are about the only time you can do that in beating the payout rate. I'll talk about the other different types of redemptions here in just a couple minutes. But these claw machines, these claw machines here, the e-claws, the ones that have a payout rate, you never know what the claws are going to be. So you have to kind of try and look real close and see. Sometimes they're really obvious and sometimes they're not. I'll put it to you this way. If they have a very expensive item in them, chances are it's on a payout rate. So that's just another tip to look for if you're trying to play a claw machine. But the other thing is, too, you never know if the payout rate's going to hit. I mean, you may play it one time and it may rig you, and then the next person plays and it's ready to pay out. So it's all about trial and error, figuring out if the machine is ready to pay out or if it's not. So, but that's the second type of claw machine. Now, there's a third type, too, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. All right, guys, the third type of claw machine is what's called a randomizer. Now, these type of claws are payout based to an extent. It's not the exact same as fixed strength, and it's not the exact same as a full-on payout rate machine. What this type of claw does, and this is very hard to detect by all means, there's a setting on there from basically 1 to 10 on the amount of strength that the claw will have. And how that works is, guys, there's a little a cell inside there that controls the voltage of how strong it's closing the claw. And that's why there's a wire. You see the wire come down from the claw as well. There's always one attached to it because they have to have a way to open and close the claw. You have to have power to it. So on these settings, it will be a random picked strength where 1 is the weakest and 10 is the strongest. And there's 3 different ways to pick it too. And this applies to the payout rate clause as well. There's a strength for picking up. There's a strength for gripping, the initial grip. There's a strength for picking up and going up to the top of the machine. And then there's also a strength while moving to the prize chute. So basically, there's 3 different areas where this machine can get you at. So basically, it's going to randomly choose one of these strengths every step of the way. Now, obviously, it's almost like a casino slot machine where every spin could get you the jackpot. But chances are you're not going to get that jackpot on every spin. The reason being is because it's called what's known as weighted percentages. Now, this is kind of how, like, if you ever watch, like, the NHL lottery draft, things like that, where the last place team gets X number of balls in the lottery draft. So this is kind of comparing this to the NHL draft right now, guys. The lowest ranked team gets X number of balls in the total lottery drawing. The second place team gets a few less balls in that lottery. So basically there's more balls in there for the last place team than there is the second to last place team, all the way up to the 5th to last place team, who gets like very minimal amount of balls compared to the last place team. So if there's 50 balls total in this lottery system, the last place team is going to get the majority of the percentage, like 50%. So 25 of them are going to be for this last place team. Whereas the next team gets like 30% of the balls. So you're looking at like, 15 balls or something like that. And then it goes down from there, all the way down to like 1 ball for the 5th to last place team. So that's kind of what's known as a weighted percentage. So what happens in these types of claw machines, as well as slot machines, if you guys are ever going to be playing those when you get old enough, the percentages of hitting the losing payouts, and by losing payouts, I'm referring to slot machines, but as well as these randomizer claws, the losing payouts are known as the ones that are going to drop the prize. It's absolutely going to drop the prize. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's picking that 1, more often than it is picking the 10. And so that's how your weighted percentage comes out. Now, there's a good chance you can get a 5 or a 6 in there from time to time, and even an 8 and a 9. But obviously the 10 is going to be the most infrequent to hit. So on these randomizer claw machines, it's going to select the lower percentage strengths more than it's going to select the higher percentage strengths. And unfortunately, you're never going to be able to tell when you're on that type of claw machine because it doesn't say it anywhere. It just says you can win whatever. But I don't know. Honestly, I don't know of any ways to tell if you're playing a randomized machine or if you're paying a payout machine. Listen to me, a payout machine. It's all about trial and error, figuring out the different types of games and things like that, and then hoping that you're going to hit either the payout or the randomizer if you're on one of those type of claws, hitting one of the stronger strengths to get it out. All right, guys, quick little interjection here. If you're listening this far, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Again, this is the All About the Arcades podcast. My name is Joe, also known as JJGeneral1. Please check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/JJGeneral1 and come watch all my arcade videos. I think you guys are going to get a big joy out of it if you don't already. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media pages, guys. Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, all at the name JJGeneral1. That's the number 1 at the end. So it's not hard to find, guys. Come follow me on my social media pages. Check out my YouTube channel. Give a like and subscribe on some of those videos if you could, please. That would be much appreciated. Now, back to the show. All right, guys. The 4th type of arcade game that is out there is known as a redemption game. Now, these you may see at like a Walmart or a Toys R Us. Well, now Toys R Us are closing. You're not going to see these anymore, but that just tells you when this podcast was recorded. But you may see these in like the middle of a mall somewhere, a standalone type of machine somewhere. And what these are basically you're trying to win a prize, and it's usually like a big amount gift card, like a $500 Walmart gift card or PlayStation 4 or Nintendo Switch or something like that. So basically what these types of machines are, there's different names for them and they're different styles, but they're all basically based off the same thing. put something in the hole and win. And there's different types of games. Keymasters out there, which is basically it looks like a key, and you have to line it up and put it into the hole for the prize that you want to get. There's one called Marksman, which is basically like it looks like a drill, and you have to put the drill head through like different shapes. Like there's a spade for one, a heart for another, a diamond for another. There's another type of game called iCube or Magic Shot. There's actually these are two different machines. Supposedly, judging by the manuals that I've read, Magic Shot is pure skill, even though I've played Magic Shot and I know it's not. But Magic Shot and iCube are basically the same machine. And what it is, it looks like an S. And basically the S goes across the board to the right, and you have to get it into like hole number 1, hole number 2, letter A, letter B, or hole number 4 or 5 or something like that. I can't remember it exactly. It's been a while since I played one, and in fact, I haven't even seen one. The ones that were around where I live have been taken out of the stores. So I'm assuming either the vendor got fined, because in Pennsylvania here, those types of machines are actually not legal here. You have to be able to win every time. So there's different types of keymasters too, guys. There's one called Prize Locker. Now this one is full skill. What it is you basically have 3 buttons. You have a move to the right, move up, and then move it forward to the hole. And you have to hit the buttons at the right time, because if you look, the hole for the prize itself is actually too small for the key to fit through. But if you look on the top of that hole, you're going to see one tiny little notch that the top of the key can fit through. Now, if you check out my buddy Matt3756 on YouTube, he actually has a couple videos of him winning a few times at one Prize Locker machine, showing that it is full skill. Okay, sorry, I had to do a cut there because I got interrupted there real quick. So I was talking about the like Keymaster and Prize Cube, listen to me, the Prize Locker stuff. Now, Keymaster, you're going to be able to tell what it is basically Keymaster, there's usually a joystick to move the thing back and forth. So you can go left and right as many times as you want. Once you start moving up, then you're locked into that wherever you're at. You can't move it left and right as you're moving up. So the way Keymaster works now, it used to work with the older machines that each row was on a certain payout. So like the bottom row would be a $10 payout or $15 payout or whatever it is. And what that means is as soon as the machine took in $15 played on just that row, then the next play for that row would make it ready. It would make it 100% skill, and it based off the player's ability to put the key into the hole. Now, like I said, that was the older style Keymasters. Most of those are still around, but there is a new style of Keymaster that's around that basically each prize has its own payout rate. So there could be 5 prizes on a bottom row. Every single one of them, you have to play each one of them up to their payout rate before it'll pay out for that single prize, instead of like the whole row becoming available to win. And once you win, guys, that row then resets, and the payout then resets, and you have to hit that payout again before it'll pay out that row. Now, most of these Keymaster machines, things like that, have like cheap prizes on the bottom, stuff that's like $5 maybe, or like a $10 gift card or stuff like that, or like a hat, things like that. The middle row will usually have like a $20, $25, maybe a $50 gift card. Maybe like a dash camera for a car, or maybe some knockoff headphones, something like that. And then usually your top row is going to have something like a $200 gift card or a $300 gift card, or like a PlayStation 4, an Apple whatever, an iPad, a watch, whatever. Now, every time you play, guys, that doesn't mean that the payout for every single row goes up by 1. Only the row that the key is trying to go for, that the player tries to hit, only that row will go up by 1, whatever it is. 1 play, 50 cents or $1, whatever the machine is set at. So if a machine, let's say you're going for the bottom row, let's say you see a $10 gift card in the bottom row, and you put $5 in the machine and you play all 5 on that bottom row. That bottom row is now $5 closer to its payout rate than it was before you played. Now, it could become available because other people may have played for it and failed, or, things like that. But there's an easy way to notice for, especially for Keymaster, Winner's Cube. There's a couple others. Basically, Winner's Cube is the same idea as Keymaster, except it's a plunger. Basically, it looks like a little plunger. You move it up, and you try to put it through the hole. And you push the prize out the back of the machine, and it falls down to you. So these are all basically the same types of games. And what you try to do is you try to put the object into the hole to win the prize. That's basically how you win. Now, there is an easy way to tell, if you line it up pretty well and you're pretty confident that you have it lined up pretty well and you let go of that button when it's moving, and if it still moves up after you let go of the button, then chances are it is rigged still. It has not hit its payout rate for that row, and you are not going to win any of the prizes in that row. But again, this is almost like the payout rate for a claw machine. You never know when it's going to become available. There was something funny the other day. I was playing Keymaster for the bottom row at Zone 28, which is a local arcade here in Pittsburgh. And I tried for the bottom row, and it deviated on me. What's known as deviation is when you let go of the button and it will still move up to make you lose. So no matter how good you are, it's going to make you lose, period, until that payout rate is ready. Well, I stopped playing it because I'm like, well, I can't hit it. It's not ready to pay out. My buddy Matt decided to try it, and the very next play after my loss, it was ready to pay out. Because what happened was when he let go of the button, it didn't move up on him. It actually stopped where it was at. Now, he lost right away because he didn't have it lined up properly, but he had it right there, and he was trying definitely to win. And you guys are going to see a video on that. I don't know if it's out already or not, but by the time I put this podcast out. But, yeah, so you have to basically take a guess, hope that the game is ready, and pretty much take a chance. That's the only thing I can tell you for these redemption-type games. Stacker, Keymaster, Drop Zone, Winner's Cube, Marksman. There's all these different types of redemption games that are out there, guys. Now, Stacker, it's a completely different one. It has a payout rate, but it's not like a full payout rate. It's basically a 1 in 800 plays will win, and sometimes it's it doesn't always get that high of a ratio. Sometimes it's 1 in 400 games will win because somebody has a good skill. So Stacker is a payout rate based machine that really isn't. It's hard to describe because it's still skill, but the game basically makes it impossible to win. And the way they do that is, as the blocks are moving back and forth, there's what's known as a win window. So inside this win window, if you hit the button when that light is on that block and inside that win window, you win. If you are outside, even if the block is lit up and you are outside of that allotted win window, whatever millisecond it is, it could be 2 milliseconds, it could be 4 milliseconds, which is almost impossible for any human to hit. Even for a machine to hit, it's got to be precise. So what's going to happen is, guys, if you're going for a major prize, most stackers for the minor prize are going to have prizes in there that are less than what it costs to play one time. So most stacker machines are going to allow you to win the minor prize almost every time. Some stacker machines are set with a little bit higher prizes as a minor. So if somebody takes a minor prize after so many losses, it's probably going to skip on you. And that's where I'm talking about that win window. Basically, if you stop the block with that light on the block to win, and you didn't hit that win window, the machine is going to make it jump. So it's going to look like it wasn't even on that block as long as it should have been, and it's going to move it to the next one over and make it look like you lost. It's basically forcing you to lose. It's called an auto lose, and it's horrible. But you have to look at it this way too. These vendors are putting in these prizes that cost $400 or $500. They're going to make their money back for that prize. Plus, they need to make some profit. Plus, they need to make some money to help pay for wherever the machine is at. It could be location rent. It could be electricity costs if they own their own buildings, things like that. So, vendors have to make a profit too, and most arcade players understand that. one of the things that we ask, and this is just with everybody now, we're basically off topic here because, I get off topic a lot when I talk like this. But one of the things that I think we need to do is, and I want to educate everybody. Please do not smack, kick, punch, shake any arcade machine. Remember, these things cost a lot of money. They costed somebody a ton of money to buy, to stock, to put on location. And if you break it, these people have to pay to get it fixed before it can work again, before it can bring in more money for them, So please do not vandalize or destroy any type of arcade game that you play, guys. Be courteous to other players as well. Because if you break an arcade game, that means that other people can't play it until it's fixed, and people don't like that. Sometimes people go to arcades just to have fun, do things like that. If it's full of broken machines, nobody's going to want to come back. So if they get to play, chances are they're going to come back again, and the vendor can continue making money, can continue keeping those machines there and keeping people entertained. That's just a little side PSA, guys. Please do not vandalize arcade games in any way, shape, or form. It's not just common courtesy, but it's common sense too. Don't be, it's also illegal. It's against the law, guys. So don't do that, please. All right, end of the side PSA. Now we move on to the final type of arcade game that you may see around almost anywhere. These are pretty popular in a lot of places. These are known as coin pushers. Now, these types of machines have been integrated as well into ticket games, but for the most part, most of these games, you put in a quarter, you push the other quarters that are on the top shelf, and if you're lucky, you push one off to the bottom shelf, and then that pusher will push the bottom shelf, and if you're lucky, you'll get one or two that fall off the edge, and you may get like a quarter or two profit. Most times you're going to put in money, you're not going to get a lot of push. The reason being, the way these games are set up, guys. Basically, like I said, you put in a quarter, it falls down, it falls on the first surface, it falls flat, it tries to push the quarters, and on that surface itself, which is the actual moving mechanism, the pusher itself, if you will, it's usually like a raised lip on the edge before the lower shelf. And for the most part, these, they're set up so that you have to put more in than you would ever get out. Now, that's not always the case. You may sometimes get more out than you put in. It just depends on what's ready to fall, physics, gravity, and all kinds of other stuff. Now, coin pushers, guys, no matter what you do, if you shake a machine, these things have what's known as tilt sensors on them, okay? These tilt sensors will automatically shut off the game, okay? It may not look like it, but it's going to sound an alarm. There's a gate that flaps up where the payout chute is, okay? And anything that falls while that gate is raised is going inside the machine into a collection bin for the owner. And you cannot win by shaking a machine, guys. It just doesn't happen. There's no physical way to shake a coin machine, a coin pusher machine, and earn anything from it. So just don't do it, guys. This is part of that whole vandalizing thing. Please don't vandalize machines, stuff like that. It's courteous, Plus, then the owner has to go and reset all the coins on the edge and things like that, restock it, because for the most part, you're going to drain the stuff off the ledge, and then nobody else is going to want to play because there's nothing gettable, if you will. And then when they have to come, they have to service it, and then they have to reset everything. So you're not helping anybody by shaking a coin pusher machine. It just doesn't work. Now, these coin pushers as well, guys, getting off the topic again, but getting back to the coin pusher topic itself. These coin pushers have holes in the sides usually, for the most part. The ones that give tickets usually don't have holes in the sides because there's no sense in making any profit for the owner, you know what I'm saying? So, there's some ticket games, there's ticket coin pushers that, for every coin that goes off the edge will give you X number of tickets. So these have been implemented. Again, if you shake the machine, you're not going to get anything. The alarm's going to go off. It's not going to count anything that goes over the edge. But these types of machines usually don't have the holes on the sides of the machine that will every now and then plop a couple of whatever's on the playfield, quarters, dimes, pennies, nickels, whatever it is that the coin pusher is made for. There's, these holes on the sides don't exist on the ticket type ones. Now, back to the regular money ones, which it's all skill, guys, because it all depends on where you drop the coin and things like that. And most times they have what's called a skill stop. So like a skill stop button will stop that slider from moving back and forth. Some of them, it's indefinite, and some of them, it's like a set time. You can hold that button, and after so many seconds, it will automatically release and move the slider again. So, and the other thing is too, I was talking about that gate, that flap, whatever you want to call it, that goes to the prize area. If the power goes out for whatever reason, and you think, I'm going to shake the machine now and get stuff while the power's out, think again, because that gate is closed. There has to be power to the gate for it to be open. That way, anything that falls into your area, comes down to the prize area, actually goes to you. So anyways, guys, these coin pushers, there's all different types out there. I have a couple videos on them. One's called Pot of Silver. And you're going to hear, like, if you watch some of these videos, you're going to see and hear, like, what sounds like you're winning, but it's actually going inside the machine to a collection bucket for the owner. And that's how they make their profit, guys, off of these machines. Because, obviously, if it was just straight put in, take out, they wouldn't get anything out of them. A lot of people try to entice you to play these coin pushers by putting dollar bills in there, $5 bill, a $20 bill, maybe a golden dollar, maybe like a bonus token where they'll pay you like $5 or $10 depending on what it says on the token. These things are a lot harder to win than you think, guys. They don't just push forward uniformly. Like I said, there's the lip on the edge that kind of curves up a little bit. So if you ever notice, the coins have to come out and up, and that's where the extra little advantage goes to the house, if you will. And sometimes these dollar bills are sitting on top of the quarters, so they're loose. When they hit that lip, they'll usually slide backwards. They'll slide back on top of the coins, further back on the playfield, and then you have to try all over again to get them. Now, like golden dollars and bonus tokens, things like that may come out to underneath the quarters or whatever's on the playfield, and you have a better chance of winning those because there's a good chance they're not going to slide backwards because they have weight on top of them. And that's just how, these coin pushers are set up, guys. They're set up so almost all arcade games, not almost all arcade games are set up for somebody to make a profit. That is the point of the arcade games. Entertain you while still giving a profit to whoever owns them. So that about does it for this podcast, guys. I hope you enjoyed this second episode of All About the Arcades podcast. My name is Joe, also known as JJGeneral1. If you guys have any ideas for future podcasts, please email me at jminkel04@comcast.net. Again, that's jminkel04@comcast.net. And give me your ideas, what you want to hear, what you liked about the episodes, what you didn't like about the episodes. Let me know, guys, because I will take your suggestions, I will take your ideas and turn them into future episodes, and I will give you credit if you come up with an idea for one. But once again, guys, thank you so much for listening to All About the Arcades podcast. Again, my name is Joe, also known as JJGeneral1. Please follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at JJGeneral1, or on my YouTube channel at JJGeneral1. You can find me there, guys. You can go to youtube.com/user/JJGeneral1. Find my videos, and you can see all these different types of arcade games in action. You can watch me play and watch me redeem for stuff, win tickets, win redemption prizes, things like that. But again, guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. It's been a lot of fun trying to record these and doing these, and I hope you guys are enjoying listening to them as much as I am putting them out there for you guys. And again, if you guys have any ideas, please email me, jminkel04@comcast.net. Thank you guys so much for listening, and as I always say, I will catch you guys next time.